Greetings, Michael Didier here. This is something that I've not done before. I'm going to go through the 10 Commandments. I want to try and keep these under 15 minutes, maybe less if I can, so that people will listen to what I have to say. To understand the 10 Commandments, we have to understand who the 10 Commandments were given to. You know what? The world doesn't have a clue. And today, I want to help you, everyone, understand who these commandments were given to. I think it's going to surprise you only because of the lies that we have learned. You know, trying to understand Jehovah's word in the English is going to put false images in our heads. It's going to make us believe things that aren't so. And the whole world has done this. We have to begin by understanding who Israel is. B'nai Israel. B'nai Israel always gets not always, mostly, by the majority of the translations, it gets translated as the children of Israel. And when you talk about the children of Israel, what's in your mind? Are you thinking about men, children of Israel? What is it that we're thinking? I think most people think that that means the children and the women and the men. Who knows? Maybe even the ger who are with them. But we've got to understand this more thoroughly. Yehovah, through Moses, is speaking to Pharaoh in this portion, chapter 4 of Exodus. He says, "Then you shall say to Pharaoh, thus says Yehovah." You know, wherever you see capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D, or capital G, capital O, capital D, it's covering up a name. The name that it's covering up is Yehovah. Here, let me show you in the Hebrew, since we're looking at this verse right now. I use eSword. You can have my eSword if you like it. Here is Yehovah's name right here. Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey. If it's capital O, capital G, capital O, capital D, it's covering up this name. If it's capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D, it's covering up this name. Yehovah's name has been hidden. We're going to talk about third commandment. You shall not take the name of Yehovah in vain. That's his name. When Jesus supposedly said, "Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name," that's his name. Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey. I say Yehovah. You can say it however you want. Yahuwah, Jehovah, Yahweh. I don't care. This Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey is his name. So that's a freebie. A little bit of a hiatus, but we got to talk about it. In this particular portion where Yehovah is commanding Moses to talk to Pharaoh, he says, "Israel is my son." I got to refresh the screen. My firstborn. So here, remember I said it's not about Israel's children of Israel. It's not even about sons of Israel, although that's better. But You have to understand sons of Israel in a way that is a spiritually born son, a second born son, and you have to understand that that is multiple generations of men, multiple generations of spiritually born men. If we talk about B'nai Adam, these are all the men through the ages that originally came from, and of course we all did, came from Adam. If we talk about B'nai Noah, these are all the men that have come through the ages because his sons came from him and all his sons came. Every man in the world that is existing right now came from Noah, and so we are all B'nai Noah. When we talk about Israel, we're talking about a second birth. Second-born men. This is about Passover. You can't get the second birth without going through Passover. What does he say? Israel is my son, my firstborn. Two things. Son is talking about a male. Bekor, the firstborn, Bekori is the word that's being used here. That is a male, firstborn male. And he says, so I say to you, let my son go that he may serve me. You can't serve Yahovah if you're serving somebody else. You can't be Yahovah's son. He says, but if you refuse to let him go, indeed, I will kill your son, your Bekor. We're talking about men. We, Israel, sons of Yaakov, really, because they were all firstborn at that time. However, there were men in Israel, just like there's men right now, who had kept the Passover, had continued to keep the Passover, even from Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Probably were still keeping the Passover, but there was a lot of guys in Israel who weren't B'nai Israel. They were B'nai Jacob, sons of Jacob. I'm sure there was people in Egypt who joined themselves to Jacob's people and became Israel's seed. I use seed, Israel's sons, as just so that we understand the multi-generational character of these men, second-born men. We're always talking about, I can't go, I don't want to go there. I want to keep this short. Let's go to the next verse. We didn't leave. We didn't leave until we became the Bekor. It was only after we became the Bekor that we left Egypt. And Yahovah saw that it happened for us. So here is, it says, and Israel's seed. You know, when I have these, this color I use in my presentations, we're talking about Israel. All this is about Israel. Israel. Them is Israel. I think I've got other ones up here, even starting from the top. Boy, it's really long, isn't it? Congregation of Israel. Who are we talking about? It says, the congregation of Israel on the 10th day of the month. Every man, not every person, every man. There it is. Every man, each. Every man. There are no lady ishas. Every man. So we were talking about men. Every one of these purple colored things are talking about men. Let me go back to where I was. Refresh screen. Oh, maybe it's, there it goes. Okay. So, look what it says. This is Moses. He's coming down from the mountain. No. This is us leaving Egypt right after the Passover. We've had the Passover. Many firstborn men in Egypt didn't survive the night. Israel, the men who kept the Passover, who ate the Passover, who put the blood on the doorstops, just like I did just last night. I had a Passover. Best Passover I've ever had, but I had to keep it by myself. Hopefully I was responsible for a lot of other men keeping the Passover. But I kept it last night. It's my renewed covenant with Jehovah as his son. It says in Numbers 9, if you don't keep the Passover, you get kicked out of Israel. It ain't going to happen to me ever. I'm Jehovah's son, B'nai Israel. Talking about his sons, his firstborn, Bekor. Then Israel's seed journeyed from Ramses about 600,000. What does it say? It says men. Men. It actually says this word here, Gebarim. Gebarim. It's talking about valiant men, warrior men. It says men on foot, besides tough. Tough are children. Here's the word here, tough. Tough are children. And it goes on in the next verse, the mixed multitude. The mixed multitude is the heads of families. It gets talked about mixed multitude, but we don't know what that means. We're talking about heads of families. Mixed heads of families. These are the Gerim. These are people from Egypt who were not Israel, who didn't take the Passover, who when they saw everybody die said, I'm going with you guys. This is who went with them. This is the Ger who dwells with them. When it says you love your neighbor as yourself, it's not talking about the guy next door. It's talking about the man who dwells with you, the Ger who dwells with you. And we're going to talk about that when we talk about the fourth commandment. Oh, they all fit together so perfectly when you begin to understand what's going on. Now it says they went out with a mixed multitude, heads of families. With them. Them again is Israel. Men. With their families. With their children. Notice it doesn't say ladies. Why doesn't it say anything about the wives? Because the wives are bone of their bone, flesh of their flesh. They are them. They're them. They don't have a separate entity. They have joined together in their relationships and become their men. Bone of their bone, flesh of their flesh. What their man says, they say. What their man asks them to do, they do. What their man asks them to go, they go. They're an extension of their man, but they're not even mentioned. We're going to see that again when we talk about the fourth commandment. Oh, there's so much to see. So we had a mixed multitude with them. They had flocks and herds and a great deal of livestock. You know what? I think that's a miss. I mean, flocks and herds, it is livestock. To say they had a great deal of livestock, I think that's wrong. I think they're talking about a great deal of possessions. They came out of Egypt with riches. The wealth of the wicked went into the hands of the righteous. Remember, each person in Egypt asked from their neighbor, give us the stuff. They took it and this is the possessions that they had. Flocks. Ultimate wealth isn't riches. It's land, which is why it always talks about the seed in the land. And it's flocks and herds, and then silver and gold. Got to have your priorities, and that's what's happening here. Next verse, and we're going to conclude with this one. I don't know why this doesn't happen faster. Okay, here it is. So Moses went down from the mountain. So here is, again, we're talking, it says the people. Then, who are we talking about? We're talking about Israel's seed. Men, second-born men, people. They're called Ezra men. A man who's a ger, a Gentile. And you can read about this in my Born Again series. I'll show you before we leave. I'll show you where it is. A man, general man, we call him a Gentile. Yehovah just simply calls them foreign-born men, or b'nai, what are they called? They're ben Nakar, foreign-born, or foreign men. Foreign sons. They leave their kingdom, the kingdom of their first birth, and they join themselves to Israel. This is what the mixed multitude are doing with their families when they went with Israel, when they came out of Egypt. They're the new ger. At Passover, the ger gets circumcised, and then he can partake in the Passover. And according to Exodus 12:48, it says, they shall become as a native born of the land. Oh, talk about covering things up. They'll be an Ezra, is what it says. The ger and the Ezra eat the Passover. The Ezra stay Israel. The ger becomes Israel. But here is now him coming down from the mountain. And listen to the instructions. He's talking about in 3 days, I think it was 3 days, we're going to go up to the mountain and we're going to see and speak to Yehovah, Israel. So Moses went down from the mountain to the people. This is the men people. And sanctified the people. They washed their clothes. And he said to the people, again, men, people, spiritually born Israel. This is not the ger that we're talking about right now. This is Israel's seed. Be ready on the third day. What does he say? Do not come near, it says, your wives. Liar, liar, pants on fire. This says, do not come near a woman. This is preparation for Israel's seed to go to the mountain. Why would we not come near a woman? Because we don't know if that woman is in her menses. She would be unclean. And if we were to touch that woman, we wouldn't get to go up to the mountain and hear what Yehovah has to say. He's got some instructions for us. They say, do not come near your wives. Here it is. It's, do not come near a woman. That's all it says. Do not come near a woman. An Isha. So what does it tell us? The commandments were not given to the women. I raise my voice. I get loud. I'm passionate. Because I want you to understand what's going on. These commandments are being given to those men who came out from Egypt after they partook of the Passover and became B'nai Israel, Israel's seed. Again, they covered up children of Israel, sons of Israel. Sons is better. It's not right. Israel's seed. Remember, it was about Abraham and his seed, Isaac and his seed. We're talking about multiple generations of men, but in this case, we're talking about multiple generations of spiritually born men. There was no Egyptians there. Yahweh didn't give his commandments to a single Egyptian. No Babylonians got the instructions. These are all instructions for Israel's seed. Let me ask you, does keeping the commandments make you Israel? Or is it possible that leaving the kingdom of your birth, joining yourself to Jehovah and his people, and partaking in the Passover after you've been circumcised? That is how you become Israel. The commandments are for Israel. The statutes, the judgments, the ordinances, the things about eating clean and our holiday, they're for Israel. Passover is the first one because all the rest are for those men who became Israel's seed at Passover. Well, you're going to see as we go through this how it's going to affect all the other commandments. Oh, so interesting. What is the role of a woman? You know, we go through, let me go to my site. Here's my site. My site is We Are Israel. It'll come up here. .org. WeAreIsrael.org. Go here. This is brave. Oh, well, there it is right there. Here's my Hebrew calendar. Okay. On my site, you will find the Born Again series. Go down to Spiritual Journey Begins. This will tell you about how a man leaves the kingdom of his birth, joins himself to Jehovah's people, and at Passover becomes Jehovah's son, B'nai Israel. Spiritually born. As bone of your bone and flesh of your flesh, your woman becomes Jehovah's daughter. This has nothing to do with Jesus. You guys, we've learned lies. Even Jesus talking to Nicodemus said, are you a teacher of Israel and you don't understand the born again experience? Jesus hadn't died yet, guys. He was pointing Nicodemus to the Old Testament. Do you not understand? Are you a teacher of Israel and you don't understand? This is how the whole world is right now. We've lost how the spiritual birth happens. We're totally ignorant. So, read this. Born Again series, Spiritually Born. Each week, we are going through Torah. This is Journey Through Torah. And on this, boy, this is taking so long today. On this, you'll find a link to my channel on Telegram. We teach 1 o'clock every day, every Sabbath. Eastern time, yeah, 1 o'clock Eastern time. Thanks, Wes. My son is living with me right now. Eastern time, 1 o'clock. We go about an hour, maybe 2 hours. We chat a little bit afterwards. We chat a little bit before. We have fun. You're welcome to join us. Right now, we're going through Genesis, maybe 29, I think. Probably was the next one that we're going through, or 30 maybe. But we're learning some amazing things, and we're going to go through Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers. even Deuteronomy, verse by verse by verse. We want you to be there. There's things you need to learn, things that have been hidden from us. Well, I'm going to stop here. Thank you for joining me. I hope I kept this under at least 20 minutes. We'll see. Thanks for joining me. Catch you later. Bye now.